You are now listening to the Hot Take Hot
main
Box.
event of the evening. This fight, when this fight got announced, me and Ty were fired up. When it got canceled, we did a whole 15 minutes that I cut from an episode because as we finished the episode, we found out that Dustin was lying about the fight being canceled or not being on. So that was annoying. But Benoit Saint Denis, 13-1, is taking on Dustin Poirier, 29-8. Dustin Poirier coming off of that dramatic highlight reel knockout from Justin Gaethje where he got head kicked into oblivion. Benoit Saint Denis, big step up in competition. He's coming off of an elimination of Matt the Steamroller Frivola.
Also by head kick.
All of Benoit's wins have been by finish. 9 submissions, I believe. Right? 9 submissions, 4 KOs. This is 5 5-minute rounds. There's been some conversation around Benoit maybe having a little staph infection of some sort on his forehead. I don't know. I don't like to get myself involved in all that conversation or talk or, we don't know. I'm not going to bet one way or the other because a guy has staph and you're going to... Listen, sometimes when you're watching a fight and you see a guy take it, like when Kevin Lee took his shirt off that day against Tony Ferguson, it was like, oh no, this guy, he's cooked. But I don't know. I don't think I've ever, I'm not saying it's not possible, but I don't think I've ever seen staph on someone's forehead like that. So until maybe hopefully somebody asks them at the press conference or we get a clear answer or it just goes away. Like, I don't know. Like I need a little bit more of a answer before I go one way or the other. It does give me pause for concern though, Ty. So let's go with the odds here. Benoit is a big favorite at minus 230, 205. He got steamed pretty much. I mean, because Poirier opened up as a minus 175 favorite. Now closing as a minus 232. That's an insane line movement. Goes to show you that the whole public and even probably the sharps are on Benoit Saint Denis. Do you think there's been a lot of conversation as well? Poirier, talking about he can see the end. We always talk about how that's never a good sign when the fighters start talking about, retirement. He's leaving his daughter at home for this one because these things can be unpredictable. I think he knows what he's up against here, Ty. I guess I'll ask you for confirmation. What do you like here?
He also said he took this fight to see it, and I quote, to see if I still got it.
That's not good.
Not good, dude. These are all the red flags. And what has always been his kryptonite in his career? It's wrestling and grappling. So, I mean, do you remember the Michael Chandler fight? Michael Chandler easily could have and should have won that fight. I know he lost, but he could have dropped round 1, if not for the way he almost finished Chandler at the end of round 1. Got controlled for the entirety of round 2. Almost subbed. Chandler let him off the hook, and then his dumbass got submitted. So I just think that's the easy path that you take here. Like I said, you look at how many times he's been submitted. 3 times, been knocked out 3 times. But when he fights these grapplers, Charles Oliveira, Habib, he gets submitted. I think Korean Zombie way back in the day, Dustin. And Benoit Saint Denis, I mean, dude, he's just an absolute wrecking ball. One of my favorite fighting styles ever. He's a southpaw also like Dustin. The stand-up's going to be very interesting for how long it lasts because he loves those body kicks. He looks to break you with just relentless grappling and just heavy pressure in general. He can strike a little bit. He has got a couple knockouts with his hands, but I think, that's definitely not the avenue he wants to explore in this fight. I guess I could see him still knocking out Dustin, funny enough. I just think it wouldn't go that well for him, at least at first. He gets dirty in the clinch, throws some elbows like the Thiago Moises fight. They were just, Muay Thai clinching it up the whole time. The only issue I have with Benoit is he is very hittable. So I do worry about him losing the boxing exchanges. I have a question about whatever's on his forehead. Maybe it's just apparently he was at the shooting range. Who knows? It could be anything. That guy's an absolute serial killer, literally. I just think the path to victory is so obvious here. And I think he starts out fast. This is a guy who's young, but he's pretty much in his prime, right? He's close to it. I think he's 28. And Dustin's already talking about retirement. He's 35 years old. He's coming off of a head kick knockout. I just think this is a crossroads fight. Yeah. And I got Benoit Saint Denis by submission.
I think I'm with you. I think this is there always the possibility in a fight like this where the vet lesson could get taught by a Dustin Poirier. I just don't know because this is a change in not even strategy, but just mentality for Dustin Poirier, because he was of the thought process, especially after those McGregor fights, that he wasn't gonna fight somebody. Like, he was looking for fights that excite him, or or fun fights and stuff like that. He wasn't really trying to fight any of these young, like, hungry lions and stuff like that. Now to make that kind of complete 180, and now you're fighting the hungriest of lions, who it seems like a starved animal in the cage when he gets in there. It is scary. And I think he's taken enough time off since that knockout, but that knockout was bad. And I just don't like what I've been hearing from Dustin Poirier. And again, without any of that included, I just don't like the matchup in general, because you saw the Charles Oliveira fight. I think there's a possibility that Benoit could get hurt, and maybe it's enough to get him out of there. I don't know. I've seen Benoit taking an insane and inhumane amount of damage against, I believe it was Zaleski dos Santos, I'm pretty sure. And, right? Wasn't that? Yeah.
That was upper weight class.
That was upper weight class
debut.
On short notice. And I saw people posted that, like, oh, you think this guy? That's just the dumb engagement farming that people do on Twitter.
Dustin Poirier is 1-2 in his last 3 and should be 0-3. So, like, what people think of Dustin Poirier is not what he's not the same fighter he was. He's still damn good, and he can go toe to toe with some of these guys. But he's lost a step, and he's 35, and he's coming off of a brutal knockout. So I don't think that's a lot of people are just looking back in time. Since the Conor McGregor fight, that's pretty much been it for him. You know what I mean? So I think his time's up, and I think this is somebody. It reminds me a little bit of the Topuria and Volk fight, the similar ages, similar rising and falling, with the fighters. So not obviously stylistically they're all different, and this could be a different battle itself. Like, I think Topuria was the better boxer and striker in that fight. I don't know if Benoit was the better boxer or striker here, but those body kicks, the clinch knees, the ability to get in your face, back you up, and be there and not go away. He has good cardio. Maybe he doesn't have theoretically better cardio than Dustin, but what happens when you take Dustin down and grind on him for a little bit? He wears the fuck out. Yeah. So, just watch that Khabib fight, dude. He had that guillotine on Khabib, like, pretty tight. Khabib had to fucking, really just get to his hips and flop around to get out of it. And he got out of it, I don't want to say with ease. He was in it. He was locked in for like 10, 20 seconds. And then after that, Dustin, his will was just defeated. Yeah. And I think, you're going to see Benoit get him in the second round, maybe the third. Maybe it could end in the first, but I think if it does go to the second, third, he's going to just wear on him with that absolute wrecking ball style. And I feel very confident about this.
I am worried about the TKO or the KO happening, though.
Me too. Me too. But inside the distance is what? Minus like 150. So I kind of want to just at least take the prop that I felt very strong about. Yeah. He's come 2 knockouts in a row, but I think this is going to be a different story.
Yeah, like I could, you maybe parlay that inside the distance in another some sort of bet if you wanted to. But yeah, absolutely. I think we are both going to go BSD, Benoit Saint Denis, by submission. Plus 165 is what we're getting it at here on the Shoulder Strikes MMA podcast, and we keep it moving.
You are now listening to the Hot Take Hot Box.